Well, I'm tired because I just spent half of the day today planing wood. Why? Because tomorrow I'm building a dining room table. Yeah. Let's get dirty. Okay, so I'm working with plans written and developed by my friend and fellow woodworker Jen Woodhouse of jenwoodhouse.com. And you can find the full plans and details below in the description. And I'm building a modern dining table for my dining room. So let's get started. So I'm starting with all the wood planed and jointed, the edges, and that's totally an optional step. You don't have to do that. But I'm doing this because I am gluing 2 planks together to create a thicker tabletop. Normally the tabletop for this would be about 1.5 inches, but I'm gonna make my tabletop thicker, almost 3 inches. Okay, so as you tighten the clamps on the wood, you should wipe off the excess glue. And I'm using scrap wood under the clamps so that it does not dig into the wood. To remove the clamps after about 30 minutes to an hour, I leave mine on at least an hour. And then I can take the clamps off and move on to the next piece. And yeah, you don't have to leave the clamps on 24 hours. You just don't want to mess with the wood for about 24 hours. So when it comes to spreading the glue on the wood, you don't need any fancy tools. You just need a piece of cardboard box and you can spread the glue out nicely. So I started with the tabletop largely because I knew that part was going to take me the longest. Because I wanted to make my tabletop thicker, I needed to glue the different planks of the tabletop together first. Because I was gluing pieces together, and you gotta allow time for pieces to dry before you can start working on it, expect to take a couple of days in completing this project. This is not a one-day project. All the planks for the tabletop were set and dry. I went to join them using my Ryobi biscuit maker. So I went ahead and I lined up all of the planks for the tabletop together, and I outlined where all of the biscuits would be, where I would cut for the biscuits. And then one by one, I lined them up and glued it together. Now I wish I would have done this part a little differently. I should have done piece by piece, like maybe allowed, glue 2 of the planks together, then glue another 2 planks together, because the tabletop was massive and heavy. So I do recommend to glue the pieces in stages. To glue up, I use some linear parallel clamps. See if you're in a city that has a tool library, where I could go to my local tool library, Station North Tool Library, and I could check out clamps. So that's what I did instead of going out and purchasing all the clamps that I needed. The joinery and the actual base part of the table, I use a bandsaw, but you can easily use a jigsaw. Finally, I joined the 2 end pieces of the base together using pocket screws. Make sure to use wood glue throughout the entire process, and use the speed squares and so that you can get everything perpendicular to make sure everything is nicely square and snug. And to further secure the base of my table, I use spack screws because it doesn't require any pre-drilling. Cover up any pocket screw holes with some wood plugs. Cut off the excess with a Japanese saw. Fill in the hole and you are ready to sand. So the folks down Diablo send over some of their latest sanding paper. The 5-inch sand net for the random orbital sanders. And I was very impressed with this new sanding paper. You can basically use it, shake it off, and keep using it so it lasts longer. So I started with the 80 grit and worked my way up to a 220 for a nice smooth finish. I strongly recommend treating the wood with some wood conditioner, especially if you're using pine first, then proceeding with your stain. It will eliminate the blotchiness that could occur when working with pine. Once the table was set, I applied a satin poly and took it to the dining room to set it up. I attached the tabletop to the base using some 90-degree brackets from Simpson Strong Tie, and my table was set. Time to host my first girls brunch. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please hit thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And remember, the full plans and details are listed below down in the description column. And they're written by Jen Woodhouse of the House of Wood at jenwoodhouse.com. And don't be shy, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Toolbox Divas. And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Toolbox Divas. Alright guys, till next time.